Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be bringing you guys another Washington Commanders 2022 NFL mock draft, and this time it will be a trade back mock draft, full 7 rounds, so make sure you guys stay tuned for the full mock draft. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content on the road to 7,500 subscribers. So please help me get there. Also hit that like button and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video, and go ahead and follow the Twitter, trying to get to 1,000 followers on there. Now let's get right into the video. So, like we all know, the Washington Commanders have the 11th overall pick in this year's draft, but they could trade back if another team wants to go up and move up for a quarterback. There are some QB needy teams behind Washington in this draft. You could see the Pittsburgh Steelers at 20 trade up with, the Commanders. You could see maybe the New Orleans Saints. There are some other teams as well that could trade up. Again, it takes 2 to tango, but still, I think if there aren't any crazy good players on the board at 11, they could trade back and still get a receiver, someone they really like at 20, plus some more assets, and get some assets back from that Carson Wentz trade. So if there's no one they really like at 11, I think it would be really smart to trade back if they can. So we're going to be doing this mock draft on the PFF mock draft simulator. I think, it's pretty good. There's no ads, and also, you're allowed to do trades for free. So I love that. I don't necessarily love their board, but that's besides the point. So one team I talked about is the Steelers. I think this would be a good trading spot for the Washington Commanders right here. And this is kind of the trade that I cooked up for the Washington Commanders. With the Steelers, I don't know if they would do this, but PFF is saying there's a 53% chance to be accepted. So we'll see. So we get pick 20, 52, 84, 138, and 208 in exchange for the number 11 pick and the 189th pick in this year's draft. In reality, I think the Steelers, more likely than not, will not give up basically their entire draft this year, but probably give up a future third instead of that number 84 pick, and some other things in future years instead. But either way, I think it's a good trade for Washington if none of their best players are available at 11. So let's offer the trade. Let's see what happens. And they decline. So let's give them a future 6. Let's see if that does it, and they accept it. So let's see who is going to be available at pick 20 for the Washington Commanders. Okay, so we are here at pick 20, and boy, did we get lucky. So Chris Olave is still on the board at pick 20. Normally, he is gone at 16 or 19 from the Saints. And, he's somehow still on the board, and I think he's going to probably get picked around, I think we're his ceiling at 11 is the earliest he could get picked, but he could be picked as late as probably around pick 20, maybe pick 22 at the latest by the Green Bay Packers. But I think right here, getting Chris Olave at pick 20 and getting a bunch of assets is one of the best possible scenarios for the Washington Commanders. You look at Chris Olave, 6'1", about 190 pounds, one of the best, if not the best, route runner in this class. 65 catches, 936 yards, and 13 touchdowns this past year for Ohio State. He also was playing with some great receivers in Garrett Wilson and Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's probably going to be the first receiver taken in next year's class. So that's why his numbers aren't necessarily as high as some others. He also played with Terry McLaurin for a year or two, so they're really close friends. And if we drafted him, they already have a great connection. Also, Curtis Samuel played at Ohio State, so your whole starting receiving core would be from Ohio State. He also is going to be on the outside, so that works perfectly for us because you would have him on the outside, Terry on the outside, and Curtis Samuel in the slot. And then sometimes you can switch Curtis to the outside and Terry into the slot. Same thing with Chris Olave. Chris Olave, might not have the highest ceiling in this class, but I feel like he has a very, very high floor, good character, high character guy. Ron Rivera is going to love that. And I think he would be a very good pick here at 20. I think 11 is a little bit too rich for me. I think that is too high. Would I hate the pick at 11? No. But if we, drafted him at 20, I would absolutely love it, because not only do we get him later, we also get additional assets. And we already we're meeting with him in a top 30 visit as well. So we're definitely interested in him. He's great at those sideline catches, the toe drags. He's a deep threat as well. So Chris Olave at 20 would be a home run, in my opinion, for the Washington Commanders. Okay, so now on to our second round pick. There's a lot of different spots we could go here. We could go safety, we could go linebacker, we could go another offensive weapon. Best player available right now is Jalen Petrie, ranked the 30th overall player, and he's here at 47. And they have him listed as a cornerback, and sure, he can play cornerback, but he's more of going to be a safety in this league, either free safety or strong safety. Could play that Buffalo nickel position that we need to fill, because Landon Collins is going to be gone. So I'm going to take Jalen Petrie, look at some of his stats real quick. About 6 foot, 197 pounds this past year for Baylor. Had 75 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 interceptions. He's a great locker room guy. A lot of people love him. Was very important to the program at Baylor this past season. So I really like Jalen Petrie. He can, again, play basically any position on the defense besides D-line. So wherever you want to put him, you can rotate him around. You can play him at nickel. You can play him at free safety, possibly. I don't think that's his best role, but I think he could go in right away as that Buffalo nickel position if they need him to be, and you can have Bob McCain and Cameron Curl as your starting safeties. But Jalen Petrie is the pick in the second round. We still got one more second round pick though. Okay, so now on to our second round pick, and this is tough because I kind of want to go offense here, add another piece to our offense, but the top players really are all defense right here, besides Abraham Lucas, who's going to be more of a tackle. We don't really need one. Kenneth Walker is an intriguing option. I just don't like taking a running back this early. And there's some other guys as well. We met with Cameron Thomas, an edge rusher. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Chad Muma, the linebacker out of Wyoming. We still, even after drafting Jalen Petrie, we can kind of do it all. We still kind of need that linebacker because Ron Rivera still has not signed a veteran linebacker this offseason, and we desperately need one, and Chad Muma can do it for us. Not necessarily ideal for him to start right away, but he can if you need him to. About 6'3", 240 pounds this past year for Wyoming. Had over 140 tackles, 1.5 sacks, and 3 interceptions, and had 2 touchdowns. So he can definitely do it all for you. He's really good at getting to the quarterback, getting some pressure there. He is very good in coverage, especially short to intermediate coverage is where he is at his best, and he's solid as a run stuffer. So I think this pick right here in the second round would really, really complete our defense in terms of most of the starters. Still need to get some depth on that, D-line, but besides that, our defense is looking pretty set after this pick here with Chad Muma. Okay, so now we are in the third round, and it's late third round, but still it's good to be back in the third round. This is the great thing about the Chris Olave trade. Not only do we get another third round pick, but we got that second round pick as well, where we got Jalen Petrie right here. Kind of want to add another offensive player. Maybe you go Carson Strong here. I just don't want to mess with Carson Wentz that much. You could go running back here, another receiver. I'm looking at the best player available at a position of need, possibly in Dylan Parham, guard out of Memphis. I think this would be a good pick for Washington because our offensive line right now is solid. It definitely is. I like Charles Leno, like Andrew Norwell and Chase Roulier, and I love Sam Cosmi. And Wes Schweitzer is good. He is solid for us, and I would be comfortable with him as our starter. But if you get someone like Dylan Parham out of Memphis, you can have him as some insurance and a guy that could compete for that starting spot right away. And if he's not, he'll eventually be your starter, and you can have Wes Schweitzer as an elite backup who can play 3 different spots on the line. Dylan Parham is also pretty versatile, can play, almost every spot, but he's likely going to be a guard in the NFL, and, more specifically, a right guard, which is what we possibly need if, we want to get an upgrade over Wes Schweitzer. So I think Dylan Parham right here in the 3rd round would not be a bad pick at all. Super athletic, versatile player, and that is exactly what Ron Rivera likes. Okay, so on to our next pick. I'm going to try to do it pretty quickly because we got a lot of picks because of that trade back. So right here, I kind of want to add another offensive weapon. Best player available is a tackle. Don't really need a tackle. Don't like Bailey Zappi. Edge rusher is a possibility, but and it's a little bit low on the board, but I really like Jeremy Ruckert out of Ohio State. And I told you guys I'm not going to pay too much attention to their board, and Jeremy Ruckert is a beast, and I think he could be a solid tight end to potentially a solid starter in this league. You look at his stats, not super impressive. This past year, 26 catches, over 300 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Average 12 yards a catch. Is about 6'5", 252 pounds. But you got to think, you got to remember, he's playing at Ohio State, where they have Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith, and Jibba. So he's not getting as many targets as these guys. And, he's not getting schemed open as much as these other guys because they understand, it's pretty easy to scheme up Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave open. And if they do, they can get a bunch of yards after the catch. Someone like Ruckert, who is 6'5", 250, he's not going to get as many yards after the catch, but he's a pretty good blocker. He's a solid route runner, and I think he would be a solid pick in the middle rounds, like in that 4th to 5th round range. And yeah, he can get you some touchdowns as well. A pretty good route runner. So, adding another, insurance policy if Logan Thomas isn't, ready to go, you have another tight end that could possibly, impact, be an impact player day one. Okay, so we got another pick right here in the 4th round, and it's tough. It's tough with so many picks. I might have to, trade up a little bit so that we, don't have as many picks in this draft because there are a lot. But I think we still need to address the defensive line depth, and Noah Ellis out of Idaho could be an option right here. You read some of his bio, about 6'4", 346 pounds, and he can give you some depth on the D-line. Again, don't know too much about him, but he's one of the best, defensive linemen on the board, so I am going to go ahead and take him. Okay, so now onto the 6th round. I kind of traded up a little bit, gave up, a pick in the 6th, I believe, or I think I gave up like 2 7th round picks and got a future pick as well, and moved up a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and take another linebacker, Jeremiah Moon. And some people might say, well, you already took Chad Muma, and that is true, but you look at our linebacking core and it's not looking too great. I mean, we just don't have enough bodies. I mean, we do have Jamin Davis, Cole Holcomb, and then now Chad Muma and David Mayo and Khaleke Hudson. But they're easily, Khaleke Hudson and David Mayo, especially David Mayo, those guys are easily replaceable. So you can add guys like Jeremiah Moon or other guys late in the draft. Jeremiah Moon, 6'2", 245 pounds, played at Florida. You look at the stats right here: 50 tackles, 2 sacks, a forced fumble. So not doesn't have an interception in his career. And looks like he played 6 years in college, probably had a red shirt and got another year because of the pandemic. But yeah, that's going to be our 7th round, or our 6th round pick. And now on to the 7th round pick for our final selection. Okay, so now on to our last pick of the draft. I want to add a running back, and I know I'm going to get a bad grade for this from PFF because they have him ranked pretty low on their board, but I think he's one of the sleepers of this running back class. I think at the in a few years we're going to look back and say, wow, how did this guy go in the 5th, 6th, 7th round? Because I think he's going to be a solid running back in this league, and that is Abram Smith out of Baylor. PFF's 275th ranked player. Again, think he's way, way better than that. You look at the stats. I mean, he only had 1 year of production. I guess that's the big kind of red flag, but I mean, look at the production. 257 rushes, 1,600 yards, 6.2 yards per carry, 12 touchdowns. He's 5'11", 221 pounds, so he's that big power back that we need to go along with Gibson, and you can receive the football a little bit too. 13 catches, 75 yards, and if you watch, what he did at the Senior Bowl, he was very, very impressive during that game. He was one of the best players there, so I think he's going to turn out to be one of the better running backs from this class, so I'm going to go ahead and take him. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at our grade for this draft. So we got a B+ for the trade that we made with the Steelers and a B+ for the Chris Olave pick. I think we should get a better grade for the Chris Olave pick because at 20, that is very good value. The only reason I think they didn't give us that grade is because they don't have receiver as one of our biggest needs. Next pick, we got an A for the Jalen Petrie pick. I wouldn't rate it that high, but I think it's a good pick. They just have him really highly ranked on their board. An A for Chad Muma as well, one of the sleepers of this class. I think he's going to be a very good running back in this league. Another A for Dylan Parham, and I think that's a good pick because it's at a position of need for the Washington Commanders in terms of depth. Didn't get too good of a grade for Jeremy Rucker. I told you guys that was going to be the case, but I still think it's somewhat of a position need. I think they should have addressed it a little bit more in free agency because they might need more immediate help versus someone who is going to take a few years to develop. But I still think it's a good position to add because there's some good value in the middle to late rounds. Got a C- for Noah Ellis, but again, it is what it is. B+ for Jeremiah Moon, and then we made that trade right there, and then a C for Abram Smith, and an overall grade of an A actually. So that's my first A in these mock drafts. So not a bad mock draft for the Washington Commanders. You get your receiver, possibly another number one receiver. You get another safety who can kind of do it all, a linebacker, a guard, a developmental tight end, some depth on the D line, and another linebacker and a good running back. So that is it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think about this mock draft. If you guys enjoyed it, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. Peace, guys.